live update here at the Lusaka Remand Correctional Facility, and the NDC President, Dr. CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI, has finally been released here after being granted bail pending an appeal on charges of forgery as well as uttering false documents. The vehicle that you are seeing just there is for the ND President, Dr. KAMBWILI, and right now there are police officers that have just, been deployed here at the correctional facility, ensuring that security prevails. So many NDC supporters are also here at the correctional facility, clad in an orange shirt, and there a symbol of his party is the NDC president there, Dr. CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI, and we are just drawing closer to him, of course trying to give you the best picture that you can possibly get after his release from bail or pending an appeal. And there you have it, the NDC leader himself, Dr. CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI, who is now out. Good
afternoon, thank you very much.
How do you feel that you're out?
Yeah, let's go this side, come this side.
So we have just, managed to just have your interview with, the NDC leader himself, Dr. CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI, just right about now. We know that he will be heading home, and obviously he will also have an interview with us. So many supporters indeed have actually turned confusion right now. Journalists are indeed trying to get a glimpse of the NDC leader, and he is joined by his wife, Carol. There he comes out, trying just to have an interview with us just right about now. And I'm sure we're having a scene. Also the NDC leader there, Dr. CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI. Would you like to say anything?
I will have a press briefing tomorrow to talk about this ordeal. But I just want to thank the people of Zambia that I can never be intimidated. This is political persecution, and I'm not scared of being persecuted. I will increase the volume as usual.
That is the NDC leader, Dr. CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI, who has described, what has happened to him as a political, persecution. Right now, we just head to his home, and we will actually be broadcasting to you live as we give you this live update. So this is news on the go, and we are still broadcasting to you live, of course, giving you live updates as regards to the NDC president, Dr. CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI's release. Right now, I'm joined by my colleague, Rhoda, and we're in the vehicle moving to his residence in Woodlands.
Yes, there is indeed quite a jubilation for the NDC supporters here, seeing their leader, Dr. CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI, walk into freedom today. There's so much excitement by the supporters, and each one of the supporters just wants to have a chance to greet the NDC leader as he's going to be addressing the press very soon at his residence here in Lusaka. So there's so much excitement, Darius, from the supporters as well as the family to see him finally walk to freedom. What you see are pictures of the NDC supporters just trying to greet the Dr. CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI as he walked to freedom. He is clad in the Zambia national flag, which symbolizes independence for him as he gets to be reintegrated into society once more. So much excitement here at KAMWALA Remand Correctional Facility. His celebration being welcomed back into society has even slightly caused a congestion along this road at KAMWALA. So if you're driving towards this place, it will be a very, very tough one for you to finally get to your destination. But here at KAMWALA Remand Correctional Facility, it's all joy and happiness for the National Democratic Congress Party.
Yes, Rhoda, you have put it right. There are a number of, supporters that have actually turned out to offer their solidarity here. That is for the NDC president, Dr. CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI. And many are flashing party symbols, clad also in their party regalia. And what we have just heard from the NDC president himself, Dr. CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI, as I asked him if he could, comment or say anything over his persecution. And he has described that, what he has passed through is, politically motivated. And he says that he will actually be able to address the media tomorrow and not today as many would have expected. But he is actually fine, according to him. In the vehicle, Rhoda, is, his wife, Carol, who has been with him throughout, the process, that is from the time the court process began. And also during the time, judgment was passed. It's quite unfortunate that she could not, be there when the judgment was, read or delivered, because we do understand that she is based, in the UK. But she came after a day, and right now, congestion along, this particular road, and we are still just within, the premises of the correctional facility, heading to his home, and we are just giving you live updates here, and just continue watching news on the go.
Yes, indeed, Darius, an exciting day for the National Democratic Congress Party. Dr. CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI finally walks to freedom. However, this freedom is partially, it is pending the appeal which is before the Lusaka High Court, whether or not this particular independence for Dr. CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI is permanent. Only time will tell once the matter is dealt with before the Lusaka Magistrate Court. Some of you who are just following this case for the first time, Dr. CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI was convicted on the 14th of October 2020 for forgery and altering a false document. And he was granted yesterday by Magistrate David Simusamba a bail, cash bail of 300,000 kwacha, which some of the people described as harsh. Even the family described it as harsh. But finally, the paperwork, the deposit has been done, and Dr. CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI has walked to his path of freedom. So it's excitement. Even the road is like, give way, Dr. CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI is out of the incarceration. And there's so much praises here going on at the KAMWALA area, I may put it so. So many, those are the pictures, supporters just following behind, escorting him to his residence.
Yes, indeed, a convoy of vehicles here at the Lusaka, just near the Lusaka Remand Correctional Facility, a convoy of the NDC, vehicles, the supporters that have actually come here to offer their solidarity. Earlier on, Rhoda, we saw, many police officers being deployed there just to ensure that, security, prevails. There's so much relations going on at the moment. So, of course, there are also, supporters that are flashing symbols. And just on Nukas also, Rhoda, are flashing symbols. And that lady there is one of the supporters of the UPND, just coming out from the vehicle, and she is exercising, I might say.
Indeed, Darius, quite a dedicated supporter of the UPND, very loyal to the alliance between the NDC and the UPND. It is good to keep health. It's a beautiful thing, Darius, quite amazing, very fascinating for a woman running, just celebrating the release of Dr. CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI.
In the vehicle where we are right at this moment, there are supporters also in this, particular vehicle, and we'll just try to talk to them just right at this very moment. Rhoda, many supporters have turned out, just like we have, been updating our viewers. Allow me to speak to this man right now. He is one of the NDC supporters, just trying to find out how he feels that the NDC president has come out. Boss Munishan.
How do you feel?
Twene fyo mwa that na bafumu.
Mfwa wina ba bozi wa fuma. Pandi wachula muka timuria, So tulia bansanza sana hivi.
Na mona muliba bansanza sana. Mwachistanshipa pa correctional facility.
Tuishira na 05 ile tufikire. Tule mboa beti yo abagusaina babu tukabayo kuchaba shani. But wastudu wachirorera ntiu wa bosi bafuma.
So there you have it. The supporters are actually, excited. Yes, indeed, we are live and giving you updates on news on the go. This It's a convoy of the National Democratic Congress NDC President CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI, who has been released on bail pending an appeal before the Lusaka High Court. Many road are obviously expecting on how, the appeal, the period for which the appeal will be heard.
Yes, Darius. So far, the notice of appeal has been filed in the Lusaka High Court, and we are waiting to see what the High Court has to say when this particular matter is going to be heard. But these are supporters that you are seeing right now, and we only hope that the National Democratic Congress leader will be home safely. There's so much excitement here along the road as the convoy supporters are escorting the NDC leader to his residence. But Darius, let me also turn back my attention to the appeal which is before the Lusaka High Court. Some of the grounds of appeal before the Lusaka High Court is that Magistrate David Musamba erred in both fact and law when he convicted Dr. CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI to 1 year imprisonment for forgery and uttering a false document. This is in relation to Mamona Engineering and Technical Services Limited, a company that was incorporated in 2001. So as we talk about this particular partial freedom, there is another matter which is very much active before the courts of law with regards to the contempt case relating to Mamona Engineering Company. And this case is coming up for ruling on the 10th of December 2020 before Magistrate Sunge Chanda. And we'll see whether Dr. CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI will be found with a case to answer or no case to answer. It has been a marathon, Darius. It has been a long journey, and it has been given finally. And there's so many things which have happened in this particular case, which Magistrate David Musamba was presiding over. So many emotions, I must mention, so many dramatic scenarios which have occurred, and finally we are here. Dr. CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI has walked to his partial freedom, and what you can see, our onlookers are just excited to see the NDC leader walk to freedom. But anyway, Darius, we must not dispute. Law is about, the justice is about giving every person equal rights to air their views, and in this particular case, we wait to see if indeed Magistrate David Musamba was in order to have convicted Dr. CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI to 1 year imprisonment with hard labor for forgery and uttering a false document. This is a question that will be answered by the Lusaka High Court.
Indeed, Rhoda, and it is so good that you have brought out the aspect of the drama that has, surrounded this particular court case. The conflict that arose between the magistrate who was handling the matter as well as Dr. CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI himself. Maybe you can just run us through some of the issues that came out during trial.
I think there are some main issues which came out during trial. It all began when Magistrate David Musamba refused to recuse himself in the matter in which Dr. CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI was convicted. I think why Dr. CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI wanted Magistrate David Musamba to recuse himself from this. It is alleged that Magistrate David Musamba wrote a letter to the Chief Justice complaining about the conduct of So as we speak right now, we have an active case which is before the Lusaka High Court where Dr. CHISHIMBA for defamation of character. And there is another application which they had brought before the higher courts with regards why Magistrate David Musamba refusing to recuse himself. And based on that refusal to recuse himself, even in the notice of appeal, you also notice when you read down the grounds for the appeal that he does mention it again that Magistrate David Musamba had refused to recuse himself from the matter. And this whole conviction, as we were giving up, we used to say that this conviction, it won't be accepted by the accused person who is now a convict. And true to it, in the grounds of appeal, Dr. KAMBWILI also mentioned that Magistrate David Musamba refused to recuse himself from the matter. And it is a legal requirement. It is there. There is a provision where a magistrate can recuse himself in a matter. But the concerns by Magistrate Musamba Darius were that why should he recuse himself from the matter which he has handled for 3 years? And for it to only began from scratch before a different court. Those were his reasons. But as we talk about Dr. Chishimba KAMWILI, his argument through his lawyer has been, look, Darius, we have this case that's begun, but they feel they might be prejudiced by the courts if Magistrate David Simsamba does not recuse himself. So anyway, overall, the Magistrate David Simsamba went on to preside over this particular matter, hence us seeing the conviction on the 14th of October 2020.
Rhoda, there are other issues also that, arose and that brought out debates, during, the time that Dr. KAMWILI was found with the case to answer. And we cannot forget to talk about the bench warrant that was issued. And that was during the time that, he had COVID-19. But it seems the magistrate did not really believe him.
Yes, Darius, that is another issue, the issue of when Dr. Chishimba KAMWILI had tested positive to COVID-19. Darius, the court had subpoenaed medical personnel to come to court and testify in the matter. And they did certify that Dr. Chishimba KAMWILI was COVID-19 positive. And that was a story that all the media houses carried, that they have testified that Dr. Chishimba KAMWILI tested positive. But in the judgment, we see that Magistrate Simsamba says the convict had the COVID-19 illness. And even in the grounds of appeal before the Lusaka High Court, Dr. Chishimba KAMWILI brings out that aspect that the court had subpoenaed medical personnel before its court who testified that he was COVID positive. And how come in the judgment he says he had faked the illness? So those are issues that the Lusaka High Court will have to put into consideration. But it is not in our hands, Darius, to decide who is telling the truth and who is not. Magistrate David Simsamba has the right, he has the judicial powers to decide based on the evidence that is adduced before court. So we wait to see, Darius, what the court will decide.
Wait to see what the court will decide indeed. And our camera person, Charles Zulu, continues to give you pictures of what is happening right now. And the picture that you are just seeing is of the vehicle of the National Democratic Congress NDC President Dr. Chishimba KAMWILI. They are clad in an orange cape, and also that should be a scarf also of bearing the Zambia national flag colors. And he is also accompanied or joined by his wife Caro, as well as Dr. Kabamba KAMWILI.
Yes, indeed, Darius. We have seen the family get together during this, what we might say, difficult time for the family. We have seen the family just be united, as well as the party staying strong, and the UPND also coming on board to support their alliance party, which has been quite overwhelming. And we see so much excitement.
Indeed, so much excitement by his supporters, and right now we're just heading to his residence in Woodlands. We continue to give you these live updates. Today, the National Democratic Congress NDC President Dr. Chishimba KAMWILI, aside from awaiting for finalizing his bail or conditions in a matter where he was sentenced to 1 year on charges of forgery as well as uttering false documents, he appeared in another court, that is before Magistrate Chanda Nsunge, and in this particular matter he is facing contempt of court charges. As early as 7 hours Many of his supporters were already at the Lusaka Magistrate Court. His wife, other relatives were too at the Lusaka Magistrate Court, including the lawyers that are representing them, all waiting for this moment that we are witnessing currently. The release on bail of the NDC president, Dr. CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI. He has finally been released, and obviously very soon he'll be able to address the media. Not today, Rhoda, and he has indicated to us that it will be tomorrow when he will talk to the media. Earlier on, Rhoda, we heard news of which our colleague, one of our colleagues, Agnes Shamboko, went at the UPND Secretariat where police officers were conducting a search. Where we have passed now is Kawata Police, station, where Dr. KAMBWILI's wife, Caro, and daughter were held in cells after being arrested, during which time the magistrate had just passed the judgment. Quite a memorable day, if you'd ask me, Rhoda.
Yeah, indeed, Darius, it was quite a traumatic day, I would put it so. Dr. CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI's wife being arrested when she was trying to be part of the proceedings. And police arrested her and charged her for misconduct, and the daughter, Chanda KAMBWILI, firstly got a charge of assaulting an police officer, and later on we saw the charge being reduced to conduct likely to breach the peace, and she was released from police cells after she paid admission of guilt fee, and she walks to freedom. Today we celebrate, the NDC celebrates the release of the National Democratic Congress leader, Dr. CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI, and they've turned out in numbers, and this is good, Darius, a must mention for the UPND and NDC alliance as we head towards the 2021 general elections. They will be able to reach out to their supporters and convince Zambian citizens on why next day they should vote for them. We must not forget that we're already in an election mood. It's solely by sure gaining momentum, and people are geared. But overall, we have to see justice, having prevailed over the matter. It has been a marathon. David Musamba handling this particular matter, so it fits to give Dr. CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI 300,000 kwacha cash bail with 2 sureties from a reputable company, and they have managed to meet the conditions.
Oh yes, and talking about the arrest of Dr. KAMBWILI's wife Caro, as well as daughter Chanda, what we saw, Rhoda, are concerns coming out from various non-government organizations. We can talk about the NGOCC. The Human Rights too also released a statement over the arrest, and they described the conduct of the police as brutal, something that they did not expect. They also claimed that the police acted unprofessional in the way they conducted their duties. Looking at the statement that was released by the NGOCC, of course through the executive director Ingwase Mwale, we saw the the NGOCC calling on the Inspector General of Police Kakoma Kanganja just to probably arrest the officers that did that. And we have not seen any outcome since then, and obviously this is something that we will be able to follow up. Today, Chanda is joining, the father as well as a mother in this celebration of, the release of the NDC president, Dr. CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI, who at the moment now will need to wait and concentrate on the other cases, as well as, the appeal that has come out after he was slapped a 1-year jail term on charges of forgery as well as altering false documents. We are now heading to his residence, and there is so much, going on along the road right at this very, moment. Supporters have continued to, chant, slogans of the party, and also flashing, party symbols. and onlookers too, rather, I think, are also doing the same. It is indeed a big day for the National Democratic Congress President, Dr. CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI.
Yes, indeed, Darius. It's something that the NDC supporters did not expect to see soon, considering the issues which arose during trial. But finally, the day is here, and they have turned out numbers to support the National Democratic Congress leader. And onlookers, people are just standing, neglecting whatever they're doing, just to welcome Dr. CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI back into society. Whether this freedom is permanent or partial, we wait to see what the Lusaka High Court will decide over the appeal. And the notice of appeal has already been filed before the Lusaka High Court. Our camera person, Charles Zulu, brings you the picture here, and this is at UTH, where we've just passed. We're heading at Dr. CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI's residence. The much anticipated statement from the NDC leader won't be given today. He has informed the media that he will address the press tomorrow, and he will be able to narrate his experience during his 13 days of incarceration at KAMWALA Remand Correctional Facility. You are watching News on the Go on Diamond TV, and this is the live broadcast of Dr. CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI walk.
This was News on the Go, only on Diamond TV, television reinvented.
Roscoe, that's